Hey guys, welcome to our review of Transformers 1. Yes, I know the film came out a week ago. Guys, I'm really sorry I hadn't covered it sooner. It's actually due to you guys that we're covering it right now. We got a few requests from our community. Hey, what did you think of this film? What did you think? They started to pile up. And then some friends of ours had also seen the film. They said it was good. So I thank you guys. Because it was awesome. Wow. And you know what? I've always said that I want to see every single Transformers film I review. I've been saying this from the beginning. I want to see the Transformers. I don't want no goddamn humans.
Yep.
I'm so tired of humans and fucking Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox and Mark Wahlberg and, and the military characters. I just was like, let the Transformers be Transformers because they are the characters. They are the stars. I've always wanted to see that. Live action, right? Well, this is probably the closest we're going to get. And so I needed to go and see this movie. So I apologize to you guys because this is essentially that. And I think maybe we did cover the trailer. I think maybe the trailer gave me the wrong impression. I think we all thought it was
more
a little
more
kiddie, more jokey. This kind of Thor, because Thor's in it, Chris Hemsworth. We thought some of that was going to take over. And, but I've always said, why not make the entire movie about them, set it on Cybertron, do something. And so what you have here is you have an origin story, okay? I like the name it Transformers 1. And because you get basically a prequel to everything that we've seen so far. This is the origin story of Optimus Prime. It's the origin story of Megatron and Cybertron, and honestly, their friendship, right? And I think we were rolling our eyes a little bit because we've seen this trope where it's like, hey, we're friends in the prequel, to explain how they're villains in the sequel. That Mufasa is the biggest example. And I know it annoys you guys, and it kind of annoyed me. So there was a bunch of reasons for us to kind of like pass this by. But I'm glad. Don't let this one pass you by. Because I'm here to tell you, it's so true to the 1980s cartoon movie, which is amazing. And this really has the heart. And it's good old-fashioned fun. Yes, it was tropey. Yes, you can predict each and every entire plot point. But when it's well executed, when it's entertaining the whole way through, when the battles, and because it's animated and not live action, CGI, I mean, not animated. I wish it was, we're not seeing that ever probably again. But CGI animation, the battles are really creative. How they can do certain transformation moves with one arm or an appendage, as the battle is going on. It's just really, really cool. I think it's well executed. I think it's entertaining. And especially for younger viewers who aren't as jaded as we are, who hasn't seen all of these tropes 1,000 times, right? Because we've seen these 1,000 times. So it's going to be especially effective for them. However, it was still effective for an old man like me. So now there are two things that hold it back just a little bit for me. I'll talk about those later. I want to get your opinion. So basically, I'm saying if you want to go out to the theater this weekend, Transformers 1 gets an Angry Joe recommendation from me.
Yep, go check it out. I highly encourage it. This was a great film. I love this one. This is by far the best Transformers film.
Really, Joe?
That we've had in a while.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the animated one that we kind of saw in the little preview, whatever. That one looked cool. Mm-hmm. But, in a while. The Transformers Michael Bay ones, I was already getting tired of it. This is what we wanted. Robot-on-robot action. I'm down to see more of that. Even I'd rather see more of this.
Yeah, that's what you ask for every fucking time. Robot on robot, and we get it here. I'm just surprised that you liked it. I thought that maybe some of the kiddie stuff and the jokes
the jokes actually landed. They were pretty funny. And even if we get bad CGI, what was it, Beast Wars, the animated series?
Yeah.
I'd rather have a full thing like that of just Transformers,
right?
Without humans,
Shia LaBeouf and Marky Mark.
No, this was great. It had great action. I was surprised it had so much action
see how
on
well
this
is doing.
Yeah, a lot of action, great humor, good story, feel good message, and stuff like that. So yeah, this was a great film.
Yeah, I really liked it too. I was worried in the trailer they showed off like Keegan-Michael Key, and I was like, how much of this is going to be? And I think they got the exact right amount.
Yeah.
He was funny. It wasn't oppressive. He didn't overstay its welcome, and so it was something that was like punctuating scenes, and I think it was really, really well done. I think that the casting is probably, in my opinion, wrong, especially for the main man. That's the only thing that was kind of holding it back. I understand that this is a kids movie, so like I'll forgive all the story things. It's a story that works. I was not going, oh, that doesn't make sense. Look, if you like Transformers, you're gonna like the story that happens here. I just think that I was constantly bothered by Chris Hemsworth's voice. It wasn't consistent. Sometimes it felt like he was straining to do the American accent, and then. You know, when
It's like Optimus Prime is no Aussie.
So
Yeah.
we're going to talk business decisions here. We're going to talk business decisions and how things could have gone differently. Because, Optimus Prime is known for having the most legendary
Yes.
voice of all time, Peter Cullen.
and he's still acting.
And he's still acting. So you could have gone Peter Cullen. And in fact, towards the end of the film, I thought we were going to get a Peter Cullen.
Me too.
But we
did
didn't.
not.
We get a Chris Hemsworth
The line-
mimicking Peter
Yeah, the
Cullen.
line delivery,
And
it's
it
kind of
was
like
poorly.
It's kind of like Chris
Now-
Pratt doing the Mario's. Like
I have
it's a
some.
me. It's
I
like,
have
it's
some
not the
bad
same.
news. I have some bad news. Since we are 2 weeks in, right? It debuted last week. This is its second week. I looked it up. Box office analyst predicts that Transformer 1 will be likely a flop. So basically, and new rumors claim that Hasbro executives are disappointed.
Good. I fucking hate Hasbro.
Fuck Hasbro.
Yeah, so I liked this movie. Fuck Hasbro.
So it debuted at the numbers. It only grossed 24.6 million domestically, underperforming box office predictions. Who believed the film would maybe do 35. It did 24. It did another 14 million internationally. So a global gross right now of 38.6 in its first week. Okay. Now, given that this is CGI, given that this is animation, given that it has not live action and star power to get people in the seats,
It's a lot of stars.
I think maybe, Hasbro had their expectations set in the wrong way. But given this poor performance, they think it's going to likely be a flop. He said that this has a $75 million budget, which is definitely lower end for these kinds of movies. It's still not where that's not right. It's still not where you want to start your movie. Maybe word of mouth will help this movie, but as of right now, it's looking like it's going to end up a flop. Well, here's word of mouth to go out and we don't give a shit about this. Okay, this is just fascinating stuff to talk about on business side. It's whether it's a good film. It's whether it's worth your time. And they can work out whether they want to make it a franchise and make it a sequel and make more within this particular universe or whatnot. That's fine. But I'm telling you that if you went to go spend money on it, you would not be disappointed.
No.
And I didn't even we didn't want to go. If we wanted to go, we would have
That's
gone
what I'm thinking.
last
What
week.
everyone's thinking, like the same mood we were in. Like, we don't
We're
want to
just in
watch
a mood.
it.
This
That's probably
movie had
why-
to overcome my bad mood. It did. It had to make me interested, and it did. So I almost graving it a little bit on a curve where it was so good that I really enjoyed it. And one of our friends who is not very good with rating movies told us it was good. So that to me is like, this is going to be bad. And it wasn't bad, so he got one right. Anyway, so there's...
broken clock is at least right twice.
Right. So we really enjoyed the movie. Now, I think as far as the cast performance, I think Chris Hemsworth does a good job as Optimus Prime, or as his original name is
Pax. Or
Pax, something Pax.
I can look it up.
Gallius Pax?
Omega Packs.
Omega, something. And then Megatron's name is D16. But I think the entire cast does well. Bumblebee's voice actor is
Keegan-Michael Key.
and I think he did a great job. He made me laugh. All the voice cast does an excellent job here, Megatron. But it's just difficult to contend with, because if you have an iconic voice like a Batman, like a Kevin Conroy, and for the first time you hear a different voice come out of Batman, you're like, it feels wrong. But if you push that out of your mind, and if Peter had retired, which he has not, then you'd be like, all right, fine. And so, you have to question some of the decisions because why do you think they went out and got Chris Hemsworth? Why do you think they went out and got
Because
Keegan?
he's more known for the kitties.
And some of these, no, Joe, because they wanted to get people, big A-list names in it and try to get people in the seats.
Well, yeah,
and when you get A-list names, you have to pay A-list money.
Yeah, they know more. They know.
So the budget's probably bigger than it needed to be. This is $75 million. I'm not sure about CGI animated movies, but I don't think you need to go that high. It doesn't feel like 70. It feels like you could have executed it for a little bit less, and then on the business side, been okay with it. If this was supposed to launch a trilogy, I don't know if that's the case, or if this is supposed to have additional films within it in the future. It kind of sucks, but
because now we got set up. I want to see more of that.
I kind of want to see more in this universe, and once you just get over that, and I wonder if other people felt the way that we did, had this atrophy, had this. The Transformers, this one's for kids. This is not for me, so I'm not going to see it unless I have little children and I take them, and it's a fucking shame because I think it works and it deserves your viewership and your attention. So there you go. But I wanted to jump in there. Go ahead, guys. Anything else? What did you think about the movie?
No, I think that the only thing that I really didn't, and it's not, I didn't love Hemsworth's performance. I don't feel that he did a great job, and it wasn't just that it's a different voice. There are times where his voice is like he's straining the American accent, and it's just you focus so much more on it because these are voice actors and everyone else is doing a really, really great job. So I think John Hamm did fine. I actually thought John Hamm was Chris Pratt for a second. I was like, is that Chris Pratt as Sentinel Prime? But it was actually John Hamm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty solid all the way through. This is just what Hasbro does. They shit the bed with Dungeons and Dragons. They didn't advertise it very well. It didn't do very well. It barely broke even. And then now they're struggling to make a second one. And that movie was really good. I really liked that movie. This movie,
I don't know if I blame Hasbro or I blame audiences or where to put the blame, but it just sucks.
Yeah, Hasbro's the common denominator. I love shitting on them because they make bad decisions. So it's their fault. Fuck them. But yeah, even I liked it, and I haven't liked a Transformer anything.
Hate everything.
Well, I haven't liked a Transformer thing in forever. It's like the original Transformers movie is fucking legendary. It is really good.
10 out of 10. Made me cry.
Yeah, go watch it today. It still stands up. It's really, really wonderful. And the Michael Bay shit just started getting ridiculous and bad.
Mark Wahlberg.
This is so much closer to the original one than any of the other stuff. So I think people will like it.
Okay, I'm gonna jump into the two parts that I felt held it back a little bit. These are nitpicks because ultimately my score is high. So let's start with one of mine. We'll jump to yours. Two things. I don't really believe Megatron's heel turn. Was that yours?
Yep.
Yeah.
His heel turn, as much as I was hoping I would believe it. It's too sudden.
Yep.
Some extra depth or extra backstory as to maybe some of his childhood trauma or something else would have helped in that transition. It's very tropey, but there is maybe some hope, for the future. Before I looked at the box office, between these two, their relationship and Optimus Prime, they're friends, and by the end, it's fucking sad what happens. But maybe there's some hope for the relationship in the future. All this war that lasts forever because maybe a bigger threat will come along and they'll need to team up.
Humans.
But again. Humans, well, they'll need
but
I guess if it doesn't do well at the box office, we won't see something like that. But that bothered me a little bit.
Yeah,
was that
same.
yours?
That was mine. That was a little too quick. Maybe they could have fixed it. I guess we'll talk about that in spoilers. If they would have done a little switch. But I just didn't believe it. I was like, all right, come on, that was too quick. But again, I just chalked it up to it's like, all right, it's a kids movie, just. Whatever.
Yeah, you tell the kids that they're a bad guy now, and they believe it's a bad guy. But I agree with you guys. You need one more scene. One that kind of bothered me a little bit is I felt like Optimus Prime. I love the optimism. That's his whole thing. I also felt like he was kind of dumb, and it's I didn't like at the beginning. It's like dumb optimism versus like this is the dude that we know as like the big leader, and it's like wait a minute, that's the same dumb guy.
This is a good point out.
Yeah,
I hadn't considered that, and I think I agree with you.
Yeah, it's like I wanted him to be the Clark Kent, Steve Rogers optimism, like let's go. That's the kind of guy he is, and he was kind of like
it almost comes from a place of ignorance
and recklessness
and recklessness rather than. What it's supposed to. There's a moment where the movie slows, and it has some emotions, and I didn't expect that. Not the emotions of the original 1980s cartoons, but some emotions. And it's like, your hope, inspires us and that. But then I kept, it just didn't land quite.
Yeah.
But if we're nitpicking,
it's a nitpick.
We're talking, moving that dial a small amount. Okay, and I guess what would have helped for me. There are 12 primes in the film, so obviously Cybertron used to be a huge fucking transformer. Transforms, becomes a planet, then gives birth to life essentially, and you have these robots. And the protectors, the original ones, are 13 primes, or was it 12 primes? I don't remember. 13 or 12, and one of them is Alpha Trion, which is this guy that, he's kind of like the lore dude. And then one of them is Megatronus Prime. And this film gives a little bit of origin to the Decepticons, the Decepticon icon. I thought that was clever. But maybe they could have done something more with the Megatronus Prime. We'll talk about this more in spoilers to help the heel turn, because it doesn't really work as well as I was hoping with just the explanation that they gave there. Okay, and then finally, the other small nitpick, because everything else is so good, is... what is the name of their look, I'll look it up real quick.
I have
the people they fought. You don't know the name of the people they fought. Ha ha, motherfucker. That's right. Quintessons. Whoo, the Quintessons. So, mine has criticism there. Where are the Quintessons? They just kind of disappear at the end of the film. My example is, why would they allow the rise of what's happening? We'll try to stay, they kind of drop off, because obviously there's, a previous war in the past. So a potential villain kind of drops off. Maybe they were saving it for a sequel and stuff like that, but there's no hint of it in any of the after credits things or anything like that. So that was the other thing. Yeah. But, and then technically Crims Hemsworth doing a Peter Cullen impression by the end, and he's really going in hard on that, and it feels more like an impression than his own thing. But yeah, Bumblebee was funny. I would love to see more in the universe. It was a great action film.
And we had Starscream, which was great.
Starscream. Yeah, we had Soundwave is my favorite voice.
Mm-hmm. Steve Buscemi.
Yeah. So just great.
There's tons of little fun Easter eggs for the old people too.
You could tell that the director here actually has passion for the project. He put a bunch of Easter eggs. This guy sounds ridiculous. It's like, that's his thing. He sounds like that.
Sounds even worse now because it got crushed.
Just great. And I think initially you're like, okay, this is entertaining, and then when they go in the cave with teeth, I think from there everything is super entertaining, and I really enjoyed it. So let's go with final verdicts.
I'm going to give this one a 9. Great watch. I really enjoyed it. A little hiccup here and there. Some nitpicks, but overall, it was a good watch. I liked the action. This is actually what I wanted to see. Like we saw previously in the movies, the flashback and the Cybertron stuff. I wanted that to expand it. And this is kind of like the closest thing we can get to it. Is it that much
more? Let's talk about that. Is it that much more to do this in live action? And when we're talking live action, it's not really live action because there's no human characters. So what I'm talking about is, do we do it in a realistic, CGI style versus a cartoon-leaning CGI style with different lighting? Yeah, Beast Wars. I'm curious if it does affect the budget, or if when you're talking things in the computer, it's the cost is about the same. So I'm curious if they had marketed as a serious thing, as a live action / CGI kind of thing, rather than an animated film like Pixar or the latest,
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to
thing.
see
I'm
how much
curious
they
how it would've
paid Mark
done.
for that too. It's like, well, that cost could have gone straight to CGI or something else, or the other actors.
Hey,
we know the Rock's making $50 million
Yeah,
for
you
Red
get The
One,
Rock,
and
you
it's
get-
just like, ugh.
That's the budget
That's
of a
the
fucking
budget
movie right
of
there.
this whole movie, essentially. fuck The Rock. All right, moving on. So, what do you think?
I liked it. I think that this is. I didn't like it quite like at a 9, but I liked it a lot. I think this is an 8. It's closer to the original for me. I like the characters. I just think that they needed a little bit more time with we talked about from characters going from kind of neutral to hard bad guy to genocidal maniac. It's like we need a little bit more development there. And I know that they got a bunch of tax credits from the Australian government, but maybe Chris Hemsworth was not. At the end of the movie, it's like, thank you, Australia, for funding a lot of this money. It's like maybe he was the wrong choice. It bothered me, and at the end of the movie when he's trying to do the Peter Cullen, like, it bothered me a lot.
That stood out to me. I don't like that, but I disagree in small part. I think he did fine. It's just when he starts to try to do Peter Cullen, I was like, then why didn't he just do Peter? Why didn't they just bring in Peter Cullen for that segment?
Yeah,
we're talking spoilers.
Or someone with the more gravitas in their voice. The story's good. It's funny enough. I think all of the other characters, like, everything kind of worked. It's a functioning movie. And some of these animated movies we watch, they're not functioning movies. The plots don't make any sense. There's no heart. The comedy's not really there.
Yeah, but it's a kid's film.
Yeah, and this has all of those things that you can see a kid's film and go, wow, this was still a really good time. And it's not Schindler's List, but it's still fun, and it doesn't have to be.
You could tell the difference in writing from even this and Rings of Power, for example.
This is a super solid thing. Even if you're not familiar with Transformers, you want to take some young kids, they're going to have a good time. I had a good time.
I think you're going to have a good time with friends. You might feel awkward in the theater if it's the time that we went where there's a bunch of kids, little kids.
There's one.
The theater was...
And he was having a great time.
It's unfortunate because
nobody there.
You're right. So this film is not... It's going to be a flop for sure. At least according to our area. But who knows? Maybe that's... The Alamo has a lot of beer. It's not really known for bringing a lot of kids.
They don't have a lot of beer
probably
anymore.
go to the other place.
Now.
Yeah. Anyways, so that... And I'm thinking I was between an 8 and a 9. And I would want to say 8 because you're going to get a negative from me for the Megatron heel turn and maybe a few other things for the other point down to 8. However, I'm going to bump back up to a 9 because I was in a bad mood. I was in, like, I don't want to see it. Like, it didn't appeal to me, and I know it's not going to be for me. And it was for me. And slap myself silly. What the hell? I've been asking for this, and then this comes out, and I didn't go and support it in the first week. Shame on me. But I think the way it was marketed was kind of and I think the marketing hurt it. I really do think the marketing hurt it. I agree with Alex that Hasbro was just like, whatever. Another Transformers thing, whatever. It just, I didn't really hear much about it, honestly. And I was like, oh, good, that animated, side film got a theatrical release instead of this is the next Transformers film, go see it. Because it's as good. No, it's better than the Transformers film. So that really makes me angry. And I got caught up in it a little bit. So I'm going to go to a 9 out of 10 to try to emphasize to you guys that this is something that you can go and watch in theaters. And if you don't have time, eventually, please do watch it because it's good. Especially if you like Transformers. Especially if as a kid, you watched it and you want a movie as strong as the 1980s Transformers. You have nostalgia for that. You grew up with it. Do it. I know it's just all toys and marketing for toys, but, there's some good stories that could be told, and it was a good story. Even though predictable, just executed at a high level. So, fantastic. So, let's go now to the spoiler section. Okay, so essentially, what I was hoping is you have the friendship between, Optimus Prime and Megatron. They're minors. They don't have the ability to transform. They're cogless, so they get these slurs thrown around. You're a non-cog, or you have no cog, no transform. You can't be a transformer and stuff, and so they look down upon him. Darkwing Wing is one Transformers that's in charge of the miners, and it's beating them up constantly. But we have hopeful Optimus Prime who wants to, change things. And so what does he do, Joe?
He teams up with Dark 16.
D16.
D16 / Megatron. He's like, hey, we should sign up for this, the race where only Transformers are allowed to race. He's like, but just think, if we beat one Transformer, they'll speak great on us or whatever. And he tricks D16 entering the race. It was a good scene. I liked it. Pretty funny.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they don't... Obviously, they don't win. And
yeah, they actually get really, really close by
so
cheating.
Close.
But they use.
It works.
You're thinking, well, if they can't
They have no
transform, they have to
cogs.
run the whole way while everybody else is using jets and fucking cars and motorcycles and tanks and shit. Well, they had jetpacks, but through the race, another good action sequence.
Yes.
One of them loses the jetpack. They're working as a team, and through teamwork, they're able to not be in last place. Then eventually they find a rocket booster or something where they just jump in front of it and it propels
Good
them
second.
and they get in front. Now, because now they get in front, they could win the race. Now, what is it? Sentinel Prime is watching all this.
Yep.
He's kind of curious that these miners are winning here. And essentially, Megatron D16 gets hurt, and he doesn't want to cross the finish line without him. And so they don't get first, they don't get second. In fact, the whole
it's
fucking
like, well, at
place
least we get second.
second.
Passed up.
But it impressed Sentinel Prime
And the miners.
And Sentinel Prime comes in, and you can tell something wrong with this guy. First, he's got a spider lady as his bodyguard, and she's real suspicious and evil.
She looks evil. It's like, eh.
And then he's kind of like that. You could
Suave
tell
con
he's
man.
He's a con man, and he uses the truth, and he bends the truth in his own ways. The truth is what I say the truth is, and a con man, and people get susceptible to that. And it's real suspicious because they're like, he always goes on these expeditions to the surface. You can't go to the surface, but I can go to the surface.
It's too dangerous.
And I'm looking for the Matrix, leadership Matrix, right? And and Optimus has this subplot where he breaks in. He's trying to learn more about the lore and what happened so that he can help look for the Matrix,
Fix the planet.
because he likes Sentinel Prime and he wants to further the people on Cybertron. Well, it turns out they run into a conspiracy. What's the conspiracy, Alex?
On the surface, they find out that Sentinel Prime is actually taking all of their energy and giving it to these aliens, and
Energon.
Yeah, and he's the bad guy, and he's been the bad guy the whole time. And the only reason he liked the miners in the race is because it increased
Right.
productivity in the mines.
Yep.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm not promoting you. I'm gonna have you tour the mines to keep production up because he has to pay off
The bad guys.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
kind of
See,
lets that slip.
I was thinking, we're already in spoilers.
Yeah,
So
we're in
I was
spoilers.
thinking like D16 could idolize Sentinel, then Sentinel could have
did.
done. No, he idolized the other guy.
He idolized both Sentinel Prime,
but more like just
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
and
like
he's
he's the biggest
yeah,
hero.
and then
Yeah,
him
like
do
his
bad
sticker
shit
and
to
everything.
D16.
Megatronus is
Yeah,
the
more
guy
depth
he
to
idolized.
those two characters.
Sure,
that
that could
way
help.
I could see it turn.
Or not have him be such a upstanding guy at the beginning too.
Yeah.
Like have it like the
Like
hint.
he's always been this way.
Yeah.
They didn't hint at that at all.
No.
In fact,
He
they
was
make it a point to be like, I got your back, bro. I got your back, bro.
Yeah, I will never let anything bad happen to you. I will love you forever.
And that disappeared.
Yeah,
he
it's
was
like,
like,
oh,
he was a goody two shoes one too.
He was probably more good.
yeah. He's like, no, let's
follow
just
the rules.
Follow rules. Let's not do anything. Let's
Right.
Okay, so then eventually it turns out that we learn the resting place because he finds this transmission, Optimus Prime or Orion Pax, and they go to the location and they see all of the dead primes, like all fucking 12 or 13 of them, but they notice one, the leadership matrix is missing, and 2, one of them has a little bit of spark left. And I think it's Alpha Trion that has the spark left. They give him some energon. He comes back to life, and basically he's in mid-battle, you know, like he got betrayed. He explains the whole story, which is Sentinel was not a Prime. He's never been a Prime. So I guess there was 12, and Sentinel's technically the fake 13th, but whatever. He was never a Prime. In fact, he was just like a messenger, a communications guy saying, hey, the Quintessentons wants to, you know, talk or whatever, and they're going to meet you at this location, and then the Primes,
shady location.
Yeah, now the Primes are a little dumb, but this is, you know, where we have to forgive some of the bloody children. All of them go because they thought it was the most important. You could have half of them go, and then they could show the other half getting ambushed.
Let's go in this crazy little cave.
Right.
No way out.
Well, then, the only SOS happens to go down the garbage chute. You remember, like the thing. So, yeah.
And then it turns out that it was an ambush. So Sentinel, he's not called Sentinel Prime, he's called Sentinel, set them up. And they all get shot, but as they're losing, they are the fucking Primes, and they're working together. They start winning until they are betrayed by Sentinel, who catches a few of them by surprise and ends up killing them and killing their number. And the combined force of the Quintessentons was able to pretty much wipe everybody out and almost kill off everybody. Everybody is dead. Alpha Trion is just hanging on, and they let him... You know,
and they're like, no way, I don't believe this. And it just so happens they're having a meeting right outside. It's like, okay, now I believe you.
Yeah.
But again.
So, yeah. And so they're like, okay, we got to take this information. We got to let everybody know under the surface, you know, that all this is going on. But it really, really upsets everyone, but extra upsets D16. He's sitting there, so my whole life has been a lie, you know, and I get that motivation, and this is why he became evil. Yeah, but I needed a little bit extra, because everybody's life has been a lie, and everybody handles it differently, and explore why everybody handles it differently.
Yeah, instead of wanting to help all the people, he's like, oh, we got to kill this guy and drag him down. And he says,
he starts talking about killing
him, and like I need him to suffer the entire time and like parade him around.
Wait
it's just
a minute.
like, whoa,
were you abusing animals when you grow up?
Yeah,
robot animals when you grow up?
I was like, whoa,
I'm gonna hear some bells in the distance, and then I'm gonna take my dragons, and then it's like, okay, easy, Khaleesi.
So and because of that, now how do they do this? They're all they also say, hey, nobody is born without cogs. Everybody has cogs, and it's just Sentinel Prime has been stealing them from you before switching you on. And so he uses the power of Alpha Trion in order to get the cogs out of some of the dead Primes. Now, you can say these cogs are Prime cogs, so they have a little bit of extra power than normal cogs. They attach to the 4, and I think it is clear what cogs they get, but because all these names go so fast and it's hard for me to remember, I don't know who gets whose cog.
They're all the lesser cogs.
But you would think that, D16 probably gets Megatronus's cog. He doesn't get Megatronus's cog. It's somebody else, because later on in the story, there is a Megatronus cog, but it's inside Sentinel Prime. Yeah. He stole, because he's like, I get why you like Megatronus, because he's the biggest and coolest. He's like, you know,
that's why I took his core.
That's why I took his core. So he liked him too, but whatever. So anyways, they give them all cogs. They transform into somewhat shapes that we know from, when they come to Earth and they steal the images of, of Earthling vehicles and shit. But they have similar looking vehicles in the past. And, funny hijinks ensue. They don't know how to transform fully, and they're falling down the thing. So there's that juxtaposition of the, them acting goofy in the background, and the guards are like this, and they're like, it's a fun jokes. Yeah. They fight and all, they do all that shit. But ultimately, I forgot to mention, who's the other female character here? We have a female robot, Scarlett Johansson, I think, as Alita 1. and she's just a go-getter. She's has inherent leadership qualities. She was like the mind leader, where
you need the
both
serious
D12.
one in every group.
And she's the serious one, and she's like the support character that really helps out when the people are down on their luck. She gives the speech to Optimus Prime, who then gets the gumption that he needs to continue. But they do eventually run into the Honor Guard. What were these guys called? High Guard. And that's where we see Starscream with Steve Buscemi and Starscream. And Lawrence Fishburne. No, I'm sorry.
No, that's Alpha.
Yeah, that's Alpha Trion. I could tell by his. But John Bailey is Soundwave. And we have Shockwave. And they're like, everybody has Wave in their names. What's going on here? It's like fun. And these guys, they're worshiping Starscream initially, but Megatron at this point has gone full evil, and he takes this opportunity to beat up the leader, and then all of a sudden, all the High Guard want to follow Megatron.
He has a big gun.
I get it right there. So he manifests a big gun in his face, and he's about to kill Starscream, but, Orion stops him. Now, that makes sense to me. Okay, the High Council follows the most powerful guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're kind of rowdy assholes, basically. But later on in the film, notice how the High Guard follow the loser. So obviously Megatron, he's acting all tough. He gets captured along with Bumblebee by Sentinel Prime, who shows up and obliterates the High Guard. And in shackles, they have that conversation. Sentinel Prime actually brands motherfucking D16 with the symbol of Megatronus Prime. Am I getting all these? Are you proud of me? Are you proud of me? Put it in the comments. Are you proud of me?
Holy shit.
Holy shit, he's doing it. He's doing it, Joe.
It doesn't count. You're reading it off the screen.
95%.
Come on, I need a little help. Because look at these. Micronus, Zeta Prime, Prima Prime, Vector Prime, Onyx Prime, Quintus Prime, Liege Maximo, Solus Prime,
On Primus.
Amazon. You forgot Amazon.
Amazon Prime.
Nexus Prime. Alchemist Prime. There's your Amazon Prime. God damn, that's a lot of primes. Ain't nobody remember that shit.
No.
And
who got what? Off.
Which one got which card?
I couldn't tell
I'll
you.
be impressed if you put in the comments
Don't
who
cheat.
got what
Don't
card.
cheat.
You have to cheat.
Don't cheat. I'll be impressed.
Anyway, I don't even think the movie tells you who got whose card, but they do show an image of the robot, so you would have to later match the image with the Prime.
Well, that scene's also really dumb.
Go ahead.
Because Lawrence Fishburne looks at these people who are in the middle of a massive argument over like whether or not to torture and kill Sentinel Prime.
That happened in front of him?
And yeah, he's sitting there, and then the next thing he says is, "You guys remind me of the Primes working together, and I see the Primes in you, and I think you're the best of us." And it's like,
excuse me, there's one asshole here.
These people suck. They all suck.
No, they don't suck. Yeah, 3 of them are sweet, and one of them was being an asshole.
Oh, one of them constantly looks at Orion and goes, "I am better than you. You suck, and you've ruined my life." And I'm gonna like, she's not exactly a good person.
Yeah.
And the other one just jokes, and he's like, "You guys are the paragons. I'm gonna give you these things because I have no other options."
They remind you of a little movie called Virtual Warrior.
What?
No, just.
Damn, Joe, you always is fucking
deep cuts.
Deep cuts. Fucking Hail Marys. Never heard of it. Maybe not in our comment section. Ain't nobody. How many people have seen that movie? Anyways, so
yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird that gives him the powers while they're bickering, and then
sure, he gives them powers, and then they fight, and Megatron has the defiance to stand up as he's a prisoner, and so Sentinel Prime is pissed, and he's just punching him. He brands him. Just then, Optimus, or rather Orion, went to the miners, revealed this to all the miners, and he recruits them as his troops. So
class warfare.
Super, eventually Autobots. So then they roll out. And they come after Sentinel Prime. They have a battle in his headquarters. And go ahead, Joe.
I have seen that movie.
Yeah.
Warriors of Virtue. It's ridiculous.
Wait, with the kangaroos, Joe? I thought you said Virtual Warriors.
No,
I'm thinking BR, Troopers or something.
Yeah, no, I've seen that movie. That movie is ridiculous.
It was stupid as hell. More people have seen that.
I saw it in the theaters.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was going to be the next, Turtles when we were young and stupid.
I mean, it was. It just, I mean.
No way. Anyways, yeah, so somebody else.
They crash a train, so they crash a train into the head office, and it starts a giant fight. The miners are fighting the loyalists to Sentinel Prime, and then just a fist fight kind of ensues. And Megatron is like powering up, like he is not a Prime yet. But he is
he's filled with anger.
And his rage, he's like beating the hell out of Sentinel Prime. And then they rip the head off of the Spider Lady because their evidence got destroyed. Yes. And so they take her head to the broadcast thing, and they put her thoughts and they show the whole world that their leader,
the Sentinel, is a liar.
That he's been a liar, and then they've been enslaving these people and taking away their cogs and just doing all sorts of horrible things.
And so I like this setup. People can follow Megatron because he's the one that's on the broadcast, punching him and taking him down. So that could set up for this future war where it's like, do I choose Megatron or do I choose Optimus Prime?
But it's not doing so good.
But it's not doing so good.
They might not do it. I was like, fuck, because it's a good setup, and I want more now that we have that done.
Yeah. So they fight some more, and eventually,
he wants to execute him.
D16 has the upper hand, so he's like, no, like, show me mercy. But seen before, he's like, let it be known this is the only time where he stopped from killing Starscream. It's like, this is the only time.
This is the only time I'm ever going to show mercy because Orion said, don't kill Starscream. Yes. He's like, all right, this is the only time.
So he's like, oh, he's going to kill him. He does, but then
fires with this huge gun. Fucking Orion jumps in the way and has his whole body blasted, so it kind of reminds you of the original Transformers, and it looks as if he's going to die. Orion's going to die. Not as much emotion as that one, but
even
still
though
some
you know
emotion.
The outcome, yeah, you know the outcome, but it was still, it's like, oh, I feel sad.
Yeah, I feel
like,
sad.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did they do this? I saw this coming 5 miles away, but whatever. If you're invested in the characters, it's done well. The music is well done. Sometimes when the music is really heartfelt, you don't really need the visuals and shit there, but it was. So anyways, as he falls into this core of Cybertron,
look cool.
Everybody's praising, Megatron. Well, most people are praising Megatron. The High Guard is mostly up there. But the planet chooses him.
Well, but as he's falling, Megatron picks up Sentinel Prime and rips him in half.
Yeah, I liked that it was a little dark.
And he was like bathing in his spark, and it's just like, whoa!
The kids in the audience, that was too far. But you know what? No, fuck.
But his eyes turn red too. He's like, "I'm done saving you." And lets him
as
go.
you know, he's evil. And he
we should have talked about that.
Yeah, that was good. Right. That was a good part.
So he's like, "Oh my god, what have I done?" When he shot his friend Orion, but then he's just like, "Nah, I'm done. I'm done fucking with you." So like again, another hard turn is like
red,
and his eyes go from yellow to red.
Yeah, and he rips out the heart, the cog of Sentinel Prime, and so now he has, the Prime core that he actually wants. And then the Earth spits back out.
Megatronus Prime Core.
Yeah, and he spits back out Optimus, and I expected him to be a little bigger, but he's,
Now Optimus gets the Matrix of Leadership because by sacrificing himself, he proved to the Primes who are dead. I'm not sure how they're still around. They are around in the middle of the planet.
Spark.
Because in Spark form, when it's their soul, maybe that's their heaven, he gets reborn as the leader. And so he comes and he's badass, and he does a badass action scene when he comes back and fights against, Megatron. Megatron, where you only have a Prime, a cog, and he's got the Matrix leadership. So you think he's going to win? And he does win. He beats his ass.
Yeah, he grows an axe and chops up his arm in half.
Throws ghost axe.
But here's the thing. So
he throws ghost axe.
Ghost axes.
He clearly loses. I liked it. I was like,
it's
like
cool.
sell toys, I guess,
like,
is what this is. I'm like, what is this power? If I see it on a toy, now I know why. But it's fine because it was cool. And so Megatron loses, but Optimus decides to let him go. Instead of imprisoning him, instead of defeating him or whatever.
What could go wrong, Joe?
What could go wrong? The entire, basically, Transformers series.
Later on, I was like, what did I do?
But here's the thing, is all the High Guard, he's like, all right, High Guard to me, and then he leaves, and it's like, why would the High Guard follow him? You lost. the High Guard follows the person who's the most powerful.
Yeah.
And that would be Optimus Prime. You literally just watched Starscream get his ass kicked by this Megatron
Megatron
guy. And then
beat them
Megatron
up.
get his ass kicked by Optimus Prime. So, all right. I guess they're just assholes because they know that they can't do whatever they want.
They're above the law. They don't want to live there.
Right. I guess.
Yeah, they don't want to live in a place that has unlimited free energy and everything's awesome again. And they're like, hey, it's a paradise.
So that's the other little thing that I was like, okay. I wanted to. It'd be fine because I'm sure there's some people like I like him more. But I wanted a little bit of a split, like a few of them stay behind. Because I've seen some, Decepticons, eventually become Autobots or whatever. So some of the flyer guys with wings should be like, nah, Optimus is right. That would have been cool. But these are all tiny nitpicks to try to get this, because this is 10 out of 10 territory. It does have, the potential of that if we had gotten a little bit. And I was very impressed by it, and I wanted to do well, and I wanted to succeed, and whatever. Even if it doesn't make a ton of money in the box office, a lot of ones have been known to do better in streaming, get a cult following, and, so the Transformers series is not done.
It's going to get picked up by Paramount Plus, where dozens more people will watch it. All of the people who have Paramount Plus.
We need to figure out what happens to those insect or the other robots. The creatures.
So that's the other thing. My other nitpick. Yeah, the Quintessentons. I'm not even know if I'm saying it right. Alex.
What about them?
You don't know what they're called either. Yeah, so essentially, I was like, well, why are the Quintessentons who are flying, they are in orbit around everywhere. They want their energy. So actually, okay, hold on. So there's a small explanation. It's not good enough for me, but there's a small explanation. All these battles, this is happening under, right?
Yes.
They're not on the surface. So the Quintessentons are about to find out. So then,
yeah,
but I wanted a tease to that.
Yeah.
A tease would have been nice. Like, where's our Energon? It's like, all right, fuck you guys. And we're going to have a war.
But we get different teas.
We do get a different tease. We get two different after credits. One is after the credits fully, and one is a stinger right before. Go ahead, Joe.
It is Bumblebee. He was a level 50. Nobody knew about level 50. He basically just watches trash trash burn. That is it. So he made his own little group of friends. And he wants to impress his friends. He goes down underneath. He's like, guys, look, I got my core. And guess what? I got some knives. And he pulls out the blades and he kills his best friend, Steve, and his other guy.
No, he said, Orion killed my friend Steve. He's like, how'd you get this information? Orion, he killed my friend Steve.
No, but when he goes back down at the tease.
Yeah,
he kills his friends with the
Steve
blades.
is back, yeah.
Nobody dies. Okay, they were just trash.
Yeah.
and it's funny, and Bumblebee's funny, and his whole thing is he talks too much. Get it? Because in the future he will
a robotic
have
toad.
no
robotic
voice.
toad. Mm-hmm. It's basically
robotic toad.
Yeah, because
that's
it's
what
Toad
he
from
was.
Mario,
Mario?
movie. He kind of plays the
and
same
he
character
talked to
in all the.
that's his thing.
Then the final one is essentially just rise up Decepticons, and Megatron is now like, no more leaders, no more people promising everything.
Follow
with the
me
leader follow me as a leader. I like that. Another good joke. So the other good joke. So can you remember the jokes that made us laugh out loud? One of them was the High Guard that is like, why the hell would we follow you? Because Megatron was captured, and so half of the the High Guard is there, and you have Optimus Prime and Scarlett Johansson's robot, which I keep forgetting her name. Go ahead. Alita. And they're like, we need to convince them to work for us. So, he's like, why would we follow you? And then she goes like this and goes, we will follow you.
Yeah, that one. And
she punches him right away.
Yeah.
She goes, you punched me in my one eye or my eye.
Yeah.
So I liked it.
There's another scene after that one that made me laugh as well. He's like, Autobots, out. The guy's like, what? He's away in the back.
He's like, Autobots, roll out.
Like, roll out, yeah.
Roll out. What?
What?
Say it louder. Autobots, roll out. Or he doesn't say Autobots. He does say something, bots, roll out.
I thought, okay. Then the other
they're not
one.
Autobots yet.
Yeah. The other one was when they were first trying to transform. They're running down that hill. It's like, transform. That made me laugh as well.
Yeah. Like fucking Bumblebee turns into a
Bumblebee,
car,
it's
but
like- but
he's
he doesn't
still got
have
his hands,
wheels,
so he's like
running.
running with his hands while he's a car. Yeah, it was fun.
D16 transforms his leg into like a little tank. It's like a little pike. It's like running funny.
Yeah.
Good scenes.
Good scenes. Really a great entry point for if you don't know anything about the Transformers. Look, I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about the Transformers lore and if this is accurate to what was written before and if it's their actual origin story and if they were actually friends. I think they were, if I remember right. But I think this was just well done. So it's a great entry point for any new fan for Transformers, be it young, be it old, and so it's great. And I just wish it would have done gangbusters and we could have got more of this. But I don't know.
There were
Seems to be
curmudgeons like us out
a little
there.
bit of a
They're like,
flop.
nah, I'll watch it later. I don't. It's not for me.
We fucked up. But we're at least we're doing something about it, which is, hey, go watch it now. It's only in the second week out there. And go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the onus. The onus isn't on the. Yeah, it's not on me as a consumer. It's just like, especially going to the movie costs a whole lot of money, and you're like, when your kid's movie doesn't look very good, and you advertise it. In my opinion, I mean, we're always completely honest.
And I forgot
with these
when
things.
it came out. Honestly,
Yeah, it's like I didn't know it was coming out. You didn't advertise it very well. You didn't advertise it very often. It's like that seems more on like whoever was in charge of that, and less on me.
I don't know why somebody came in here. It's $75 million budget. They went 75 to 147. I guess with marketing, I don't believe that.
There wasn't enough marketing.
Well, maybe
That's
Scarlett Johansson and Chris Hemsworth, they've got to be expensive.
They probably
I guess.
demanded $10 million each.
Rock's getting 50. They got to be getting.
Quite a bit.
Fuck. Well, there's a fucking old budget. Fuck those. So we could have used anybody else's voices. Honestly, I had no idea that was Scarlett Johansson.
Really?
Had no idea. Yep. I mean, you could get a Scarlett Johansson sound alike and run the same.
Yeah, but Joe, you wouldn't get butts in the seats.
Exactly.
It's like, but with Scarlett Johansson, you get butts in the seats.
I just don't think that happened because you don't see their face, you don't see their bodies. You know, your average audience goer. Why are people going? Why was there such a large female audience for the first Aquaman? Do you think that's because his voice acting? No.
This is wahoos.
His wahoos. That's what it's for. His CGI wahoos. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for us. It's a good one. Go out and see it. And thank y'all so much for watching. We're going to see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.